They took my driveway to expand their mansion, so I made their $2 million home completely inaccessible. I returned from a 2-week vacation to discover something unthinkable. My driveway had vanished. In its place was a gleaming new brick courtyard leading straight into my neighbor's expanded mansion. Richard Pemberton, a hedge fund manager with more money than common sense, had paved over my property to create his so-called grand entrance. Richard already owned the largest estate in our neighborhood, a massive colonial revival he'd been renovating for 3 years. Each month brought new additions: a wine cellar, a guest house, a home theater. His latest obsession? A European-style motor court to showcase his fleet of luxury cars. The warning signs had been there. His landscapers once planted shrubs 3 feet into my yard. His contractors used my driveway without asking. Each time I complained politely. Each time Richard promised he'd sort it out later, but completely erasing my driveway? I crossed every line. I stormed over to where Richard stood, admiring the stonework with his architect. He barely looked at me as I demanded answers. "Oh, that old gravel path?" he said dismissively. "My survey showed it was never legally established. Just an informal route. I'm actually doing you a favor by creating this beautiful shared entrance." His survey came from a boutique firm he'd hired, one that discovered my 40-year-old driveway was never properly documented. Backed by lawyers, Richard filed paperwork claiming the area was an easement he could legally modify. When I called the county planning office, they told me Richard's legal team had already buried them in documents. They would take weeks to sort through. Meanwhile, I was trapped. My garage blocked my car inaccessible unless I drove across his courtyard. That evening, I remembered something important. My cottage once belonged to my grandfather, one of the original developers who built this hillside community in the 1950s. In his old files, I found subdivision maps and, most importantly, utility easement agreements. Here's what Richard's lawyers had missed. His grand courtyard sat directly on top of Vile, the main utility corridor servicing half the neighborhood. Water mains, gas lines, and electrical cables all ran beneath his bricks. The utility company held permanent easement rights that overruled any property claims. But there was more. My informal driveway wasn't informal at all. It was a legally mandated secondary access route for fire and medical services. Blocking it violated city safety codes. I spent the weekend gathering proof. Photos of utility markers buried under his bricks, copies of the emergency access maps, and documentation of the permanent easements. Then I contacted the utility company, the fire department, and the city planning office. By Monday, a convoy of utility trucks and city officials descended on Richard's mansion. The power company shut down his courtyard immediately after locating buried transformers. The fire department condemned the blocked emergency route. City planners discovered that his entire renovation had ignored easements and safety codes. Turns out, Richard's wine cellar sat over water mains. His home theater blocked gas line access. His guest house eliminated a fire lane. The city ordered immediate remediation. At his expense, Richard was forced to demolish $500,000 worth of improvements just to restore utility access. His insurance refused coverage because the violations were deliberate. The utility company billed him another $200,000 for repairs and relocations. As for me, my driveway was restored using city funds as part of the emergency access project. They even upgraded it to modern fire standards, giving me a better entrance than before. 6 months later, Richard sold his mansion at an $800,000 loss. He slunk away to a downtown penthouse, probably still wondering how paving over my driveway destroyed his dream home. If you think this is real story, like and subscribe.